The San Francisco 49ers have been one of the best teams in the NFL for the past couple of years, making the NFC Championship for 2 consecutive years and the Super Bowl in 2023. But there has been a significant downfall of the 49ers during the 2024 season. With a talented roster and one of the best coaching staffs in the league, how is it possible the 49ers are struggling?
Thursday night on the Krug Show, Dieter's in the house. Let's go, right?
Why do they always seem to struggle after they make the Super Bowl? Today, we'll take a deep dive into the downfall of the San Francisco 49ers and give you 3 key factors as to why they have been unable to repeat on their on-field successes. First, let's take a close look at how they are losing close games. In years past, they have been able to maintain their lead in close games and find a way to win the game where there was a 7-point or less difference in the final score. So far this season, when the 49ers lose, they generally are losing those close games they probably should have won. Take a look at all of the close games they've played through Week 12. They have blown fourth quarter leads to the LA Rams, Arizona Cardinals, and the Seattle Seahawks. What hurts even more is that all 3 of those teams are inside of their own division. It's incredibly heartbreaking to lose close games as it is, but when you lose in that fashion to your division rivals, it stings just a bit worse. In each of those games, the 49ers defense had an opportunity to stop their opponent's offense but failed. The 49ers defense is usually the hallmark of the team, but at a little over the halfway point of the 2024 season, they have failed to stand up to their reputation. If you think about it, this case of the yips for the San Francisco defense actually goes back to last year's Super Bowl against the Chiefs. There were multiple opportunities for the 49ers defense to end the game in regulation and in overtime, but Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense was just too much for them to handle. This is going to be tough to say, and I know it's going to sting for the 49ers fans to hear, but the 49ers defense may not be as great anymore as it once was. But even if they were the same old stout defense, is the rest of the NFL scared or intimidated of them? A very good case could be made that they are no longer a badass defense of old. Granted, they still have Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, and Diamador Lenore, but without DeMeco Ryans or Robert Saleh as their defensive coordinators, they have been anemic at best. Head coach Kyle Shanahan has opened up about the defense's miscues, telling the media, quote, "We let them hang around, and when you let people hang around, that's what happens," end quote. The 49ers have set some records this year, and not the good ones. Since the beginning of the 2024 season, they have become the first team in 24 years to blow 3 divisional games when leading by more than 4 points in the fourth quarter. I know that may sound like a weird stat, but it's telling of how bad they have been at getting the game across the finish line. In a division where only 1 game separates first place from last place, those close losses could be huge if it comes down to tiebreakers at the end of the season. Let's take a look at the second reason for the 49ers' downfall: their injuries. They have had some really bad luck with key players getting hurt. Just take a look at this list. Defensive tackle Javon Hargrave right at the beginning of the season with a devastating season-ending triceps tear in a game against the Rams. Elijah Mitchell, out for the season with a hamstring injury. Brandon Ayuk, out for the season with an ACL injury. Debo Samuel, gone here and there with injuries and sickness. Christian McCaffrey, gone for over half the season and still trying to work through his Achilles injury. And this doesn't include some of the lingering injuries from the offensive and defensive lines that just comes with the wear and tear throughout the NFL season. And the hits keep coming for their star players getting injured. Brock Purdy had to stop practice early in his Week 12 prep work while ramping up to play against the Packers. He had to leave practice because he was dealing with a shoulder injury. Coach Shanahan said he was limited in practice and didn't do much work the previous day. But with Purdy banged up and the rest of their players having lingering issues, it will be tough to determine if they will be able to get all their key players active on game day. And the final reason for the downfall of the 49ers is the infamous Super Bowl hangover. This isn't the first time that the 49ers have struggled the year after making the Super Bowl. In 2019, the 49ers finished the regular season with a 13-3 record and reached Super Bowl 54 but would lose to the Chiefs 31-20. The following year, they went 6-10 and missed the playoffs, finishing last in the NFC West division. Fast forward to 2024, coming off a 12-5 season and lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, they are on track to repeating the same pattern from 4 years ago. Maybe it's coincidence, Or maybe it's Kyle Shanahan's teams consistently underperforming after they make the Super Bowl. Just take a look at the comparisons of Kyle Shanahan's teams in 2020 and in 2024, both after losing the Super Bowl. The 2020 record through Week 12 was 5-6, and in 2024, it's 5-6. Points per game and points allowed similar in both seasons with only a 2-point differential. Passing yards per game are almost identical at 268.8 in 2020 and 262.8 this year. The defense had similar stats as well, allowing over 300 yards in both seasons. The only major difference between these two 49ers teams is the turnover margin. The 2024 49ers have done a way better job of keeping the ball at a +3 turnover margin compared to their -11 turnover margin back in 2020. Comparing the two seasons, the 2024 49ers have shown some improvements in both offense and defensive metrics. However, the team's records and a majority of their stats are eerily similar. Is it ironic that the 2020 49ers were plagued by injuries to key players as well? Quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo was injured, and they had to settle with journeyman backup Nick Mullins. Tight end George Kittle and defensive end Nick Bosa had injuries as well. But the one main reason of the 49ers' downfall this season is the overall inconsistencies. Despite their offense ranking second in total yards and 8th in the league in points scored through Week 12, they have had several setbacks. Take a look at their turnovers. Sure, they have a +3 ratio, but the Niners have committed 13 turnovers this season, and their offense has been stagnant in the red zone, ranking 28th in the NFL in scoring position. Oddly enough, the one side of the ball that goes largely overlooked has been their special teams. This may not seem like much, but they are dead last in the league when it comes to expected points added per play for both kickoff and punt coverage. Now, I know you may be asking yourself, why does this stat matter? Well, this may look like a throwaway stat, but it definitely impacts field position in the game and puts more pressure on an offense that's already struggling to keep up with their team's ineffective ability to get their defense off the field late in the game. Let's face it, the 49ers are having a rough year, but they are not out of it just yet. The entire NFC West division is in a tight race, and all four teams are still in the hunt for first and playoff contention. With all of the struggles, injuries, and downright bad luck, this is for sure not over for the San Francisco 49ers. They have a head coach that can get them out of their current funk. Kyle Shanahan has been in worse spots than he is right now. Just look at his tenure at Cleveland, Washington, and Atlanta. There's no doubt that he's a great coach, arguably a top 10 coach in the league today. And with a rookie defensive coordinator Nick Sorensen working through his challenges and trying to find a rhythm in his brand new role, it is possible the defense gets in a groove and gels their way to holding some leads down the stretch. Although they have struggled in the first half of the season, it's possible the Niners could turn it around and make a positive run in the last half of the season. But only time will tell. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.